The blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. Why don't we just wait here for a little while, see what happens?
Do you want to die, Sidney?
For England, James? No.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
Fill your hand, you son of a bitch!
Look what you did to him!
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
As you can see, I'm not happy.
What is up, everybody, and welcome back to Macho Movie Madness.
Oh, yeah.
I am Brandon, and alongside me always is Andrew, and Kenny is back today for the first time in a little while. What's up, Kenny?
What's up? It's been a while.
Yeah, I got the full crew back today. And now that we got the full crew back, we're ready to talk some vampires because we've been promising that for a while. We've been wanting to talk about vampires for a while. And it's not all the vampires we want to cover, but we figured it's a good way to start the vampire train off. And we're going to do a versus today. And two of my favorite vampire movies from the 90s, from Dusk Till Dawn and John Carpenter's Vampires. So I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, this was rough, man. I thought I had a clear winner right out, but I really had to do some thinking on this one.
Yeah, me too. Before we get going, I just want to give a quick shout out to JML. He is our very first Patreon subscriber. So wanted to give him a shout out. Special thanks to him for joining. Thank you very much for your support. We really appreciate that.
Awesome.
And, here's to you.
Yeah.
Would anybody like to say anything before we get started? Because I think I'm ready to jump into this.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay.
Let's go.
Normal categories for the most part, but we did add a different one. We've got story, we've got setting, we've got acting, we've got action, because there's some action in both of them. And we got best vampires. And I do have a tiebreaker just in case we have it for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know why we don't ever have tiebreakers. That's just
I went ahead and did a tiebreaker category. It's going to be best lead. So basically, George Clooney versus James Woods. And that's going to be our tiebreaker. So be thinking about that just in case.
Okay.
So we might need that.
We might need it.
Yeah.
So without further ado, let's get going with story. Which one of y'all want to take this one first? No takers?
Andrew, you want it?
Go ahead, Kenny. This
we're so ready to talk about this, man.
I'll go with this one.
Okay.
I went with From Dusk Till Dawn with the story. Just for the simple fact that in Vampires, which has a good story, they're aware that there are vampires. They're vampire hunters. And From Dusk Till Dawn, it had a whole nother story going on. You know, they robbed the bank, they killed some people, and they show up at the titty twister, and they are unaware of what they've just walked into.
Yeah.
And so
it's two movies in
I
one.
enjoyed that. Yes.
Yeah.
So you've kind of taken the bad guys, and now they're kind of good guys.
Kind of.
Or, well, they're not really good guys, but they're up against worse.
Right.
Worse villains than what they are.
Questionably worse than Quentin Tarantino in this movie. I'm not sure.
Quentin's pretty rough in it.
Yeah.
See, unfortunately, this is how I think Quentin Tarantino is all the time.
Yeah.
This is the movie.
Sucking on toes. And
yeah. Raping and killing women. No, that's probably not. Go ahead, son.
Go ahead, Brandon. I'm
Just
still
a real
working this
creep.
one out in my head because I didn't. This is the one category I can't quite
No.
figure out for myself.
So Kenny makes a really good point there because I had vampires, and I might still stick with vampires on this. But and the reason why is because I do like the fact that it was a full-blown vampire hunter movie. They're very aware of it. Obviously, you've got this whole crew that was wiped out. He's being encouraged to build a new crew. He knows something's wrong. He gets betrayed by supposed to be a good guy.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I kind of like the whole story of this better, even though it's a little bit more like it's not confusing, but there's more to it in vampires, and I that's why I picked it.
Yeah.
From Dusk Till Dawn, it's real simple. It's just more of a fun movie. It's just I don't know. You got this. I do like what Kenny had to say though about he makes a good point. You've got this whole different movie starting out where you've got these two shitbag brothers, and they're just fugitives from the law. Basically, they just killed somebody. They just robbed a place, and then they've taken this family hostage now to get them across the border. And then get to the border, it's a whole different movie, and it becomes about something completely different. So I don't know. It's still fun.
Yeah, I mean, if you're watching that, and if you don't know jack shit about From Dusk Till Dawn, you don't know what it's about. And
Yeah.
you sit down on the couch, you start watching that. I mean, that could blow your mind.
Yeah. It's a crime movie for the first 40 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because it totally takes a turn. So,
man, I'm so torn on this one. So you went vampires, Brandon?
Yeah. Yeah, you're the tiebreaker.
Because I like From Dusk Till Dawn. It's just so wild and bipolar and crazy.
Yeah.
And I do like vampires. You know how there's some stuff cleverly set up in there, and some guys turn. As far as just a straight vampire movie, I think I'm going to have to go vampires.
Yeah.
It's with a heavy heart because I really like the story from Dusk Till Dawn.
Okay. I'm going to mark one down for vampires then, taking the first category, taking story. And you guys are not on me. I had my story category up here and I didn't put it up there. Yeah, so vampires take story. Easy enough, I guess. So let's move on to setting. And I'll get the graphics up the right way this time as we're talking about it. I'll go ahead and take setting, I think. I'm going From Dusk Till Dawn because the titty twister. I mean, come on now. Come on now. I mean, they're both kind of out in the desert. You know, it's really not anything spectacular. You've got a few locations here and there from Dusk Till Dawn. Vampires the same way. You got motels and you know, I like the end. I liked the kind of the climax of vampires. I like that whole thing, but nothing's more iconic than the titty twister. So that's what I'm going with.
Yeah, they're both kind of vampire westerns, really. When you look at
they
it.
really are. They really are.
I like the setting of vampires quite a bit, but I'm with you. I'm going to go From Dusk Till Dawn on that one. You know, they've got the convenience store, that whole thing in the beginning. And
Yes.
I like that whole section of the movie. You know, they go through customs and show up at the titty twister. And what a great place to have, you know, not just the finale of a movie, but the whole, you know, 1.5 acts of a movie right there. Yeah, I have to go From Dusk Till Dawn on that one.
Well, that wins. But Kenny, what did you say?
I mean, it doesn't even matter now. I tied because I couldn't.
Oh, okay.
I love the setting in both of them so much.
Yeah.
I mean, I could lean with you guys. It doesn't matter because it won. But yeah, I had a hard time picking that one.
Yeah, I mean, really, like I said, it gets down to that closed-in bar in the middle of nowhere, and you know, of course, the name and everything, the shit that's going on. It's hard not to be drawn to that. Let's go into acting on this.
Acting was another one I was pretty torn on. You know, on one side you've got James Woods, who is the man. You know,
the man.
Yeah, he is absolutely. And I like it's kind of got a buddy cop feel almost with him and that priest.
Yeah.
From the whole middle part of the movie. Some of the acting in it's pretty rough. Like I've never been a Baldwin brother fan in just about anything.
I thought Daniel did a good job, though.
Yeah, I mean
thought
he's
he did
not
okay.
he's not terrible. I think it's just I've got a vendetta against the Baldwins for some reason that I don't know about.
Maybe.
The girl I thought was okay. On the other side, from Dusk Till Dawn, of course George Clooney's great. Quentin Tarantino is just creepy ass Quentin Tarantino in this. I don't really feel like he's acting at all.
No.
He's just being himself.
Yeah.
And some of the rest are okay. The main actor whose name escapes me, the priest who's fallen from grace.
Harvey Keitel.
Harvey Keitel.
I feel like he could have done more with this character. And I think that's why I'm going to give this to Vampires, because he, as a, one of the main lead characters, I feel like this is one of his weaker performances to me. But I'm anxious to hear what you guys have to say about that one.
Like he was kind of phoning it in or something.
Well, like they could have done more. And maybe it's just it was just played so dry.
Yeah.
Even when they're fighting the vampires.
Yeah. Even right down to the end when he had to go.
Yeah.
Like I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It was, which was what a bleak ending, huh? That was. Yeah. Jesus Christ. Even the boy gets it. So you took Vampires?
Yes.
And Kenny, what do you think?
This was the one where I changed my picks 4 times. I ended back on Vampires. Just because I kind of like Andrew said, I felt it was more serious. Felt like a more serious movie, and not as From Dusk Till Dawn was kind of comedic.
Yeah. I mean, when it's directed by Robert Rodriguez, he's pretty over the top anyway. Yeah. And then Quentin Tarantino wrote the screenplay, so.
Yeah, I'm just going through my notes here. Tarantino creep, big time creep. But is this
not the perfect movie for George Clooney though?
Yeah, Clooney in this. In some movies, he's just George Clooney and everything. He was a little bit on the dangerous side in this for me. Yeah, and that's what I liked about him.
Oh, I love that. I just what I'm saying is like, but he's still at the same time so goofy. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Like it's like this movie is like made for George Clooney. Like this movie is like a serious movie with a lot of serious stuff around it, but it's done in such a goofy ass way.
I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like George Clooney to a T. Like he's a good actor, but he's squirrely.
Yeah. Oh brother, where art thou?
Yeah, he just got, I think it's his mannerisms, just what he does. He's a little bit different. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what I'm saying. But I mean, I went Vampires, so it was a sweep for Vampires, by the way, for acting.
And From Dusk Till Dawn is loaded with huge actors.
Oh yeah, all kinds of cameos. So it's so big that Cheech Marin played 3 people.
Yeah, I love
Yes.
You got Fred Williamson, who was in all kinds of B movies in the 70s and 80s.
Frost, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was Frost. And
how about Tom Savini?
Sex
Machine. Tom Savini.
Yes.
Yes.
I love his gun in that movie.
Yes.
The Peter pistol.
The Peter pistol.
The Peter pistol.
Okay, well, speaking of guns, let's get into action. And Kenny, I guess maybe you're up first here. You want to go with action?
Yeah, I'll take it. I went From Dusk Till Dawn, and it wasn't even close. Because it had way more action in it than Vampires did.
I thought the Vampires action that was there was really good.
It was. It was very good.
Really good.
From Dusk Till Dawn, it just from the time they got to, I mean, it was pretty action packed. I mean, it slowed down a little bit from when he, they commandeered the RV.
Mm-hmm.
But once they got to the titty twister,
it was just
the action got. I mean, it was pretty heavy.
yeah, they're real heavy, Doc.
So
I'm down with that. I can get down with that. I was kind of leaning that way anyway. I hadn't made my final pick for it, but I really liked, like I said, I liked all the action that was there in Vampires.
Yes.
But I do think you're right. I think it's just so much crazier in From Dusk Till Dawn, and it's more awful.
Oh, it's a madhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also went From Dusk Till Dawn. You know, that's a huge explosion at the beginning of that movie when they blow that gas station up.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, just beyond the titty twister stuff. But yeah, it's like that whole last act is nothing but them slaughtering vampires, and I love it. I thought the stuff with the winch on the truck in Vampires was very creative, and I love the
Very
way
cool.
they
Yes.
killed them off.
Yes.
But yeah, I have to go From Dusk Till Dawn on this.
And for as well-rounded as John Carpenter is, I think it's hard to beat Robert Rodriguez in something like that.
Yeah.
Because it's just so crazy. He's just so crazy over the top.
He's coming right off Assassins on this one.
Right.
Stallone and Banderas.
Which was also a good movie.
Yeah.
Well, these have been some pretty easy picks, I think, for us. We haven't wasted a lot of time here. Unlike our last verses, whew, that was rough.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess we're to the last category, and I mean, I think what's the tiebreaker, so I don't think we'll have to worry about unless we all tied this one.
We can do a hypothetical at the end and see.
Yeah, we can see. So best vampires. What do you guys think? Who wants to take it? Is it my turn? Is it your turn, Andrew?
Go ahead, Brandon.
So honestly, as crazy as From Dusk Till Dawn was, I went with vampires. I like that style of vampires more. It's a little more traditional, and you know, you had the master vampire, and then by the end you had like a bunch of different ones. I don't know. That's what I went with. I like the vampires way better than John Carpenter's Vampires.
Yeah, I like the vampires in From Dusk Till Dawn. You know, they're done by the K&B crew who had worked on like Evil Dead and Army of Darkness and those kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought they looked really good. But I think I also have to go with vampires on that one. And who was the actor that played the main vampire? Do we have his name?
Thomas Ian Griffin, I think.
Yeah, he's
I'm
really
not
good.
mistaken.
He was the guy from Karate Kid, right? Am I thinking right?
Yes, I
Terry
believe so.
Silver? Yeah, just screams bad guy when you
Yes,
look at it.
part 3.
Yep, yeah. I was thinking that was him when I watched it last time. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go vampires. It's really close, but that's how I'm leaning.
Yeah.
I went vampires, and that was an easy one. I like Brandon. They're a little more traditional. They still kind of look human.
Yeah, I've always liked those vampires more.
They're goofy as hell From Dusk Till Dawn. Almost like reptilian.
Yeah,
looking. Right. Especially Selma Hayek's.
Yeah, they really
that
leaned
was,
into the bat-like features and the creature feature style stuff.
Yes,
you know, real over the top shit. Yeah, I always
cool
liked it. It is. I just always preferred
going for there, but
yeah.
No, I'm more of a realistic looking, more human looking vampire.
I always like when the demon takes over the body, but it's the body still, you know, present. And I think because I always like the idea of vampires, you know, they're the ones that can blend in with the crowd, and before you know it, it's too late. I like that. It's, you know, don't get me wrong, if you're trapped in a place like the Titty Twister and you're like literally trapped in there and you've got a room full of monsters, I mean, that's creepy as hell. But I think there's something way cooler about, you know, these beautiful people that can just blend in with the crowd and then lure you into somewhere. I like that better.
They were going to get an X rating, but they ended up using green blood instead of red. And I think that adds a little comedy to it, takes away some of the dread. It's different for sure, but I think they did that to just get by the ratings board.
All right,
very possible.
And what's the who's the main vampire in Vampires? What's his Valak? Is that his name?
Yeah, Valak. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's badass looking.
Yeah. He's got that. He's kind of got that. they did that same thing with Dracula 2000 with Gerard Butler. You know, they
Yes.
just made him, which I like the backstory to that actually too. That was an interesting turn
I do too.
for
I
Dracula.
actually really like that movie.
I do too. But yeah, I've always preferred that much more. So that means that John Carpenter's Vampires wins just a little bit.
3-2.
Just edges it out. Yeah. Yeah, which I mean,
That's why he's the king.
yeah, and I can't say I'm mad at it because we're all such huge Carpenter fans.
Yeah.
And I really didn't even put that bias in there this time, I can honestly tell you. It just worked out that way.
And true to verses, I would probably watch From Dusk Till Dawn on any given day.
Yeah.
Ahead of Vampires, but of course my votes went Vampires, so there you go.
Yeah, that's definitely happens a lot here. So real quick, just actually, do you guys want to just who do you like better as a lead? Did you like George Clooney's character, or do you like James Woods better?
James Woods.
I'm going James Woods. Now don't get me wrong, this is probably one of my best George Clooney performances, like roles. This is one of the few movies that I absolutely love George Clooney in. But yeah, I mean, I have to go James Woods, dude. It's James Woods. Badass.
Did that decision give you a little mahogany?
Yeah, for sure. A little mahogany there. Also, real quick before we wrap up, I didn't say this earlier, but did you guys notice the box office return for these movies? Did you look up the stats for these movies? Okay, so from Dusk Till Dawn came out first, 1996. Budget of $19 million. Box office total $59.3 million. So not great, but you get to 98 with John Carpenter's Vampires. Now I don't know if it's because of the time, or what, but the budget was $20 million, $1 million more than From Dusk Till Dawn. Brought in only $20.3 million.
Ooh, man.
$300,000. Yeah.
You know, I don't remember Vampires being heavily marketed back then. You know,
I don't either.
I don't
20
either.
years old, and I don't remember it at all.
Mm-mm.
Well, I mean, what I'm trying to think of anything horror-wise that came out in '98, but you've got, I mean, the year before it was Scream 2 and I Know What You Did Last Summer, so you were like hot into this like Scream revival, the slashers, and then those spinoffs, and I don't really know what was going. And then I think you had American Werewolf in Paris.
Yeah, that movie sucked.
Yeah, it was not good. So I'm trying to, maybe people in the comments down below can help us out, because I'm trying to think of what came out in '98. I'm not going to look it up right now, but I'm just trying to think of what maybe could cause that to perform poorly. If it was marketing, timing, they're interested in something else. Maybe horror. I mean, horror wasn't real big in the late '90s, other than like the Scream stuff, like the Scream copies. But even that faded pretty quick because you didn't have. I think it was the early 2000s before we started getting the splatter porn stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't really know what the deal was. Maybe it was a little bit too 90s. It's a perfect movie for that era. I think it captures that era just perfectly.
Shame on everybody for not going and seeing Vampires.
Yeah,
And
support John Carpenter's
including myself.
Yeah. Shame on me. Anything else you guys want to say before we wrap this thing up? No.
Nope.
I think they're both definitely worth a watch, and we're going to have to do an entire retrospective on vampire movies. You know, throw in the rest of those '90s movies that were so good.
Yeah,
maybe the Lost Boys. I
think other than a versus, we can do some sort of podcast or maybe even a ranking. We can do some kind of ranking of just top 10 vampire movies or something like that. Yeah. And we can do that. Maybe we can do it live or something one of these days. I don't know. We'll figure it out, but that's what we'll do soon. And what else we got coming down the pike now? We've got we're gonna have a True Lies review coming up.
We got that coming. We're talking about doing a Brandon Lee retrospective on all his movies as well.
Yes. Yeah. So and he didn't have a lot, but but the ones he did have are worth talking.
Oh, yeah.
At least I lost some of them. So, okay, well, we're gonna wrap that up, guys. And Vampires, John Carpenter's Vampires, are clear winner today. So, like always, we appreciate you all watching. Leave us a comment down below. Let us know what you think. Let us know what your picks are. Drop a like on the video if you like this video. Sub if you want to, and we'll see you next time.